I'm out here at the property with a confused bicycle. This is the G300 Pro from Happy Run, and it is a dirt bike with pedals. Let's get right into the first 30-second breakdown. That's where in the first 30 seconds I give you guys my exact thoughts on this product before we get into the full review. That way you can just stop watching because now you know exactly what I think about it, or stay longer, figure out why I say these things in greater detail, and it does help out with the algorithm, so I do appreciate that. So this bike is pretty freaking awesome. So this is exactly what it looks like. This is a dirt bike. It has pedals for legal reasons, so that way you can ride it on the road and not have to follow certain rules. I'm not an attorney, that's not legal advice, but there's a reason there's pedals on it, and it is for the fact that you don't have to do certain rules and age limits to be able to ride this thing. So it does have a license plate bracket, it has turn signals, it has a headlight, all the things that you would want to be able to make this more street legal if that's the route you want to take. But this has a lot of power. It has the ability to go up to 50 miles per hour. I wasn't personally comfortable enough to take it to that speed because this was shipped in a box and I had to put it together myself, and there were some other little things which we're gonna go over in this review that almost made me a little concerned about doing that, but it goes really quick. I went up to 46 mile per hour. I think Josh went up to 46 or 47. 48. 48, well, he was a lot more daring than I was. That's why he's the cameraman. So he went to 48 miles per hour, so it goes quick. It has a lot of power. The brakes is one of the biggest downsides that I have with this because I don't think they're good. And they're not necessarily bad brakes. They're bad for how much power this bike has. This thing has a ton of capability, and because of that, I think these brakes are gonna get you in trouble. I think it's gonna get somebody hurt because of how much power this thing is. The first time I took this out on the property, I was flying down the trails, and then I went to hit the brakes and I was like, wow, these are not gonna stop on time for the things that I want to do with it. So the things that you wanna do with a dirt bike, you might want to upgrade the brakes or just be able to understand how the brakes work and get a little more comfortable with them. But that is a downside with this, is the lack of brakes. And honestly, the left one almost doesn't even work at all. There's other little things like things going loose that you need to tighten and fix and check up on, but it's kind of to be expected when you're looking at more of a budget version of what this is trying to be. You know, you have those really high-end electric dirt bikes. This one's only at around $2,400 right now on their website with a discount and some other free things that it comes with. They did end up giving me a discount code. You guys can use that too if after this video you guys decide this is something you want. That'll save you another $100. But for that sub $2,400, has a lot of really good features, and then we're gonna go over all of those in this video in really good detail, the hydraulics, the feel, the comfort, on and off road. But before we get into that, I always like to go over my relationship with the company, be completely transparent with you guys. The Happy Run did send this to me. I did not spend my own money on it. They just wanted me to test it, do a review on it, and see what I thought, and that's what we're gonna do here in the video. Now, one of the things you guys can do that's incredibly helpful for the channel, it's completely free, is subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting, being interactive. Those things are incredibly helpful. I really appreciate that. It helps a lot with the algorithm. And the sponsors and the companies that are incredibly helpful. We're gonna go ahead and transport back into the vault and talk about those real quick before we continue. And that is Anson belts and Vertex bags. So Anson belts, these things are very customizable. We'll be able to get exactly the belt and the setup that you want. I went ahead and got their combo deal where I got 3 different belts and 3 different buckles, and you can choose on their website from a bunch of different styles. So you can choose the actual belt itself first, and then you go through a bunch of buckles to choose from, and you can change those out if you want to. So I can rotate these buckles in and out. And if you've never tried a ratcheting belt before, these things are awesome, very adjustable. This comes in a one size fits all, a really long belt. You cut it to size, and then you have these ratchets, which you are able to then make micro adjustments, loosen, tighten to wherever you want. If you've never tried a ratcheting belt, I highly recommend taking a look at one. This one is a little unique. I tried something a little different here. My wife thought it was cool, and that's all I care about. As long as she likes it, I am happy. But check out Anson belts. These things are really neat. Try out their combo pack and try a handful of different ones. Pick out a style that you like. And then Vertex bags, these are the new Gamut bags that just came out. They come out with a bunch of new styles, and you can use code Tactical Advisor. That'll save you 15% off their clothes and backpacks. Let's get right back into this video. For these bike reviews, I like to get a minimum of 100 miles on a bike before I do a full video. I have 182 miles on this one, mainly because it's a lot of fun and I was able to put a lot of miles on it a lot quicker. So I exceeded that quite a bit, which I'm glad because I really wanted to test this and test it really thoroughly. I had one kind of big issue, which we'll touch on in a second. But first, we did about 40% on-road and 60% off-road. I really wanted to test the off-road capabilities, and I think that's what most people are gonna get this for. Now, a lot of you might just run around town in this, and that would be great for that. And for me, I would drive into town, which is, you know, 5 to 7 miles away, so I could take this in real quick, or I'd go see one of my kids' soccer games with it real quick, and that was a lot of fun. But mainly what I use this for is the property. I drive it around the trails. I took it deer hunting, which was a ton of fun, and actually how I got 2 of my deer, because I don't think they knew what this was. I think they were just incredibly confused by it. and it is completely silent. That is one thing I noticed about this with the other electric bikes that I have, because I've done a lot of testing. I tested one electric bike, and from there I just got contacted by a bunch of electric bike companies, and now that's just kind of something that I do. But this one is incredibly quiet, almost no noise at all, which was really shocking compared to the other ones that kind of have a hum to them. This one doesn't have that. First, I'm just going to go over some of the features, and then we'll go over my thoughts, the feeling, the durability, how it feels off-road, and then we'll go over those little issues that I had. So this thing has 5 different speed modes, allow you to start low, which I highly recommend doing because I started high and it has a lot of power to it. So the lower ones just allow you to kind of get more comfortable with it. It stops it out at a certain speed. So it goes to like 8 miles per hour, then 15, then 20. It allows you to kind of build your way up. Like I said, it goes 50 miles per hour is what the max is. It's more like 45, 50 is more of like a perfect situation. You're going downhill in the wind, you're incredibly lightweight, then you could hit that 50 maybe, but it's what they have on their website. Up to 70 miles on the battery is what they say. Not the way that I ride the thing, because I've never actually touched the pedals and spun them probably a full rotation. I just use the throttle, which is the way to ride the thing, and probably the only way you're going to ride this. Most people aren't going to use the pedals unless you run out of battery, which is then miserable to ride and drive this thing. But the battery life and what it's saying with that 70 miles is probably with you pedaling it, assisting, again, in a perfect situation scenario, allowing it to get that number for the website. But I've never had an issue with the battery. I've never been able to be left on this where I was like, oh no, I'm screwed. I can go a couple days of riding with no problems, and the battery has been good for me. It's really hard to say like this is the exact amount of miles, because one, it's hard to be able to calculate the miles because the type of miles. Is it road miles? Is it off-road miles? Just because the amount of stuff that we do around here, and a lot of times I was just gunning as fast as I can. So I wasn't getting the best electric miles per gallon. I don't know what you call that, but wasn't getting the best. So 70 miles is what it says on the website. The battery tray is actually really cool. So it comes with a key. Here you have 2 keys, which is actually nice. So you have one that unlocks it. So you're able to open this tray here, and then this is the giant battery. It has a carrying handle that you can pull this thing up with, which is cool. And then there's a second key, and this one actually allows you to turn it off and then into unlock mode to be able to pull it out if you want to, and then that slides straight up like that. And it is a giant battery, but I love that. I think it's sweet, very heavy. I store it away for the winter, but that's about the only time I ever take it out. But if you ever drive this around and you want to be able to prevent anybody from taking it from you, you have the keys, you can lock it off, turn it off, and then they'd have to use the pedals, which they'd probably just bring it back or give up pretty quickly, so you'll find your bike fairly close. This thing is kind of hard to lock in, but the benefit of it being difficult to lock in is it doesn't rattle, it doesn't shake around. They have 2 different prongs in there of rubber that allow it to be a little tighter, but this does have a 72 volt 6500 watt motor on it, and the motor is here on the back. So there's a lot of them that have that center motor right here. A lot of those have a lot more power. This one is in the back. It puts a little bit more weight here, and then you have the chain here. You have a tensioner, which is one of the big problems that we ended up having, which I might as well talk about that real quick while we're right here. This gear right here got loose, and it was vibrating back and forth and causing it to have some issues. Wasn't able to pedal properly or move the pedals like I needed to, and it was making some really annoying noises, and it kind of slowed you up a little bit. So I had to take this whole piece out, tighten it all up. I blue Loctited it. Since then I haven't had any problems, but I don't think if you're spending $2,400 you should have to take apart gears and have to blue Loctite them and put them back. That should be something they do in the QC. And that is going to be one of those downs. I'm jumping around. I'm getting too far ahead of it. I'm supposed to leave this to the end of the video for you guys to stick around, but that's all right. We're gonna talk about it now. The biggest problem, I had that come loose. I had a piece right here come loose. You're just gonna have to make sure that you guys are paying attention. You're checking all your bolts, especially on something that goes 50 miles per hour. This is a very powerful machine, and it's a lot of fun, and you're gonna get yourself hurt if you don't pay attention. Wear a helmet for sure, but just making sure you're running through this machine, checking it every once in a while, making sure those bolts are good. This thing gets shipped in a box from across the world, and the chances are it's probably not all gonna be perfectly spec. Again, it's a more budget version, so just make sure you're aware of that when you're using it. That is just one of the things I really want to mention in this video is this thing's a ton of fun. It's a great deal, but just be cautious of those little things and make sure you're tightening this up and make sure it's safe when you're ready to ride. All right, so now that I went over the bad stuff, let's go over the stuff that's really nice with all the little features. So you have a throttle right here, and some bikes, especially the more budget ones, this is where I always find them to be really cheap feeling. This one's somewhere in the middle. It's not like the higher end ones that I've used and tested, but it's definitely not the cheap ones where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna pull this thing to pieces. It has been really solid for me. It feels responsive. Like, it's not like I'm pulling it and nothing's happening. This whole bike is very responsive, and I like that. So I would say that's a good system. It's not bad. It's not great. It's right there in the middle. So good. I like the way they designed this. Now, this doesn't look like a dirt bike grip, which is a little odd that they chose this, but you have like a ergonomic grip on this that is leather stitched. It's very comfortable. I like the design. Again, not like a dirt bike, so it's a little odd they went that route, but I think it's a cool little touch, and it seems a little more premium, I guess, in my mind. You have the switches here for your power, your up, your down for the speed, the 5 modes, you can change it. You have headlight, you have turn signals, you have a horn. All those things are really nice, especially for a device like this that you're probably going to be using on the road. You want to have all those things. You have a headlight that has 2 different colors. You have the amber, you have the white. You can rotate it between 2. You can have strobe, which I don't know why in any situation you'd want that, but it's there. You have a taillight with blinkers that are actually kind of cool because they go in like a line, kind of like the Mustangs do. It's kind of neat. And you have a license plate bracket here if you want to be able to rock it that way. Most of you are just going to ride this thing the way it is because with the pedals, you kind of get around some of that stuff. So you've got aftermarket mirrors. I put those on myself. Those are from Happy Run. I just wanted to have them when I'm driving on the road. It's nice. Again, brakes, I think they could probably be better, and I'd really like to see that be an upgrade. A lot of people mentioned how they'd like to see these switched because these brakes are set up like a bicycle, and they really should be set up like a dirt bike because this thing is a freaking dirt bike. You got a shroud right here up front. Oh, also with the headlight, you have this little piece here that just blocks it from blinding people oncoming traffic, so I think that's cool. But you have a number plate up here if you want to. You have a really nice carbon fiber looking mud flap to be able to keep that mud from you. Really nice tire. So you got a 19-inch in the front, 17 in the back, and the actual wheels are very durable. That was something I was a little worried about with the budget aspect, was where did they go budget? Did they go budget in the little things that don't matter as much? Did they go budget in the big things that's like, okay, I want my wheels to be solid, especially because of the stuff I was driving over logs, I was driving over hills, I was taking this down hills. Me and my brother were hitting like, they were small hills. I know you guys are gonna watch this video and be like, seriously? But listen, we're 30 years old. We have 9 combined kids, and the last thing we need to do is break a collarbone. So we were taking it pretty easy, but we wanted to at least hit some kind of jumps. But I realized after we hit them, we filmed it, we were like, that was awesome. And then afterwards, we were like, that video isn't as cool as we expected it to be, which is fine. But we wanted to at least hit some jumps. They have 2 shocks in the front. You have plates to cover those. I'm not gonna go into super deep detail on the actual shocks and everything because I am not well-versed enough to be able to give you that information confidently. So you guys can look up on the website exactly what those are. You have a large single coilover shock right here in the middle. All these are adjustable too, so you can adjust these to whatever you want. And it works really well. I mean, it works great. This thing is actually really comfortable. The seat I thought was comfortable. I figured that would be kind of something they would budget out on. I think they did a good job of spending the money where it needed to be spent and budgeting out on some of the other stuff to allow it to be a little bit more cheap. But going along with the wheels where I was saying I got distracted, with the things that I was hitting, I've had sticks go in here and I haven't had any problems with bending or breaking, and that is a big thing because you want to make sure those are durable. So normal dirt bikes and expensive dirt bikes, these are really, really good, and I've seen the same with these. So an on-road, it's decent. It's not the most comfortable thing on road. It's a dirt bike. It's not meant to be like a primary on-road thing. My other bikes are a lot more comfortable because they're road bikes. Off-road, this thing is awesome. I've had a lot of fun going from like driving on the road and then just taking it off-road, going down like railroad track lanes or going down fields, tilled fields. That's really uncomfortable. Don't recommend that one, but I was deer hunting. But like trails like this, the paths that are like decently cleared, it's a lot of fun and is really comfortable for that. A lot more comfortable than the bicycle. So I noticed when I went from this to the bicycles on the road, it was like, oh, so comfortable getting on the bikes. But when I rode the bikes on the trails after riding this, I realized how uncomfortable the bikes were for the trails compared to this one. So this is really made for those trails. I think it does a good job. So this has a carbon steel forged frame, and this thing weighs 130 pounds, so it's not light. So I mentioned that there's 5 modes to be able to go up and down and change the speeds. There's also a full-time city mode. You can just go ahead and switch to city mode and it will not go over 28 miles per hour. So it's kind of a cool feature for those of you like, I don't want the full power. I just want to be able to cruise comfortably and not have to worry about that. There is a city mode you can change it to, keep it at 28, and then you can switch it to unlimited and just go crazy, like most of us are probably going to do. Another good and bad thing here is the kickstand. So it's a very high quality kickstand. It works really nicely, keeps your bike up. Obviously, you want to keep that from falling down. But one thing I noticed is this comes up here and rubs against my back brake. As you can see right there, it rubs against the side there. It took me more than I'm comfortable telling you length of time to figure out what in the world was wrong with it and why it was making that noise. It sprung too much and comes up and rubs against that. I tried tightening it, moving it, loosening it, what I could do. I could not get it to move any other way. All I have to do is if I hear it, I just take my leg and I push it down a little bit and it creates that gap and it's fine. But if you're hearing some weird noise, it's because that's hitting against your brake. But I will say, I reached out to their customer service with all these problems and they were responsive. They were really quick. Within the next day, they would always get back with me and they always had a solution. So that was nice. But I didn't have to do anything crazy with the customer service. I didn't deal with anything being shipped or returned or back. but they did give me fixes for all the little things that I had concerns with, and they told me how to fix, and they actually gave me videos for that one, which was nice, which also shows me that they probably had that problem before, that they had a full video already on how to fix it. But with all that being said, I am really happy with this bike. I have ridden a lot more than I expected. At first, I was a little, my wife was a lot more nervous than I was. She was kind of terrified when I got this because she knew I'd go out and hurt myself, and well, I almost have multiple times. But the bike has a ton of power. Just be careful with the brakes. Make sure when you get this, you take your time, you learn the brakes. I do not think the brakes are good enough for how much power this bike has, and I think that needs to be fixed, and I hope to see them fix that in the future. They're hydraulic brakes. They said I could fill it with hydraulic fluid. Again, not things that I think I should have to do after spending $2,400 is replace stuff or fix stuff. I think it should be done from the factory. My left brake is basically useless. I mean, as you can see, there's no hydraulic press at all, so I always have to just use this one. Which again is fine. I know how to use it now. I'm more comfortable with it, but I would like to see that fixed. But other than that, I think if you change those little things and fix the small stuff, it's a really good bike for the price. And again, you just have to know with spending the less money, that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get some other things that aren't as high quality. So I hope this video was able to help you guys make a better purchase. It's always my goal, help you guys spend your money in the best way possible. Whether it's yes is exactly what I'm looking for, or maybe I'll stay away from it, I'll find something else, spend a little more money, or I'll go a different route. It's always my goal is to help you guys spend that money in the right way possible. Happy Run has a bunch of other bikes. I'm gonna try to get some more to test them because they do have some other cool stuff on their website. This is definitely the coolest. But I appreciate you guys being here. The biggest thing that you guys can do to get helpful is subscribing. I really appreciate that, and again, it's free. And checking out Howitzer Clothing, use code TA15. That'll save you 15% on your order of clothing. Completely limitless, use it as much as you want, share it with your friends, and you donate 5% proceeds to charity. They've donated over $2 million so far, and they have a Tactical Advisor shirt, which is really cool as well. So appreciate you all, thank you so much. I always like to end my videos here on a Bible verse, so we're gonna go ahead and teleport back into the vault and go ahead and finish that way. So I'm in Matthew 28:19, and it says, go therefore and make disciples of all nations. And it says the same thing here in Matthew 4:19, where he says to be fishers of men. And this is so important to me because this truly changed my life. And if it wasn't for somebody reaching out to me and becoming a fisher, reeling me in a sense, I would have never made this decision and given my life to Christ and been born again. And that is why I want to share this with you guys and why I find it so important. And it's because I love you. It's not because I want to push something on you or shove my religion down your throat, but it's because I truly see, my eyes have been opened up to what is to come, and I want you to have that as well. I want you to have this and understand it, and I would be a terrible friend and a terrible person if I didn't share this with you. And the way to do it isn't this crazy collaboration of things you have to do, and you always have to do so many works and give so much money. And that's what a lot of these churches are preaching and trying to people get to understand it, or an inclusion where everybody goes to heaven. It doesn't matter as long as you're a good person. That's not true. We have to understand that we've broken his law. We have sinned. We continue to sin every day, and there's nothing that we can do by any works that will get us into heaven. It's by the grace of God, the fact that he sent his son to die on the cross, the absolute greatest thing anyone could do for us. And then you have to repent of those sins. You now have to understand that you do sin. You have to repent. You have to turn away from them. You no longer want to do those sins. There were a lot of things I was doing over and over and over, and I would pray to God and I would say, please forgive me. Oh, I'm terrible. And I would just do it again. And I had no intentions of stopping. It wasn't until I truly gave that sin to Christ and I gave it up. And I said, I'm done with it. I want nothing to do with it. That is when my life completely changed. And I gave that to him with my whole heart. It wasn't 90% of it. It wasn't 95% of it. It wasn't even 99.9% of it. It was 100% of my heart. I gave it to Christ. And it wasn't until then my life has changed, and I want that for you. If you have any questions, any help with resources, please reach out to me. I'd love to help you. I appreciate you all so much.